Hi there, I'm Mary Susie from Bead Me A Story, and today I'm going to show you how to make the European 6-in-1. As you can see here, I wanted to do one like this. We're getting close to summer now, and these are great kind of athletic looking bands to wear, in the water is fine. To the beach, stacking them is great. And I wanted to really feature some of our rubber O-ring colors because, as you can see, we carry a huge selection of colors in our rubber O-rings that you won't find anywhere else. So this is the regular size. This is the size I've always made this in, and also great for men if you want to do this in plain colors like team colors or black or blue. This is a great one for men to wear as well as women. But also I wanted to show you, we also did a version in the 6.5 millimeter O-ring, which is a brand new size. These jump rings are a little bit easier if you have hand problems like arthritis or something like that. This is going to be a little bit easier size to work with, but it's really not too hard to see. This is a nice medium size bracelet. And then my absolute favorite thing that I made this week to show you is the micro mail in this. So this uses our new 4 millimeter O-rings, and you can see, you almost can't even see what it is. They're just so tiny. And of course, 4 millimeter O-rings tend to be pretty thin. They're only 1 millimeter thick. But when you put it into a pattern like a 6-in-1, where each jump ring is going through 6 rubber O-rings, then it gives this a really nice density, a little bit more weight, and it's really a beautiful piece. So I'm going to show you how to do these two at the end, just for a minute, and then we'll do the video with these larger, chunkier sizes of athletic bracelets. But again, everything's waterproof. I have kid tested these, had kids wear them in a pool all summer long, no problem. Your only enemy with rubber O-rings is going to be petroleum. So if you are swimming in a boating area and there might be petroleum in the water, then you might want to be careful about that. But otherwise, you're safe to go in the beach, you're safe to go in the pool, and you really don't have to worry about any of this. So get ready for beach season, and let's go ahead and get this project started. Okay, so to start a European 6-in-1, the first thing we want to do is figure out our colors, lay them out. You can do this in just one color. You can do this in as many colors as you want. Looks great in a rainbow if you want to do that. But before you do a rainbow, I would figure out exactly what length you're going to need, and then figure out if the math works out with the number of colors. We carry, of course, just tons of colors at Bead Me A Story, and I'm sure that you could probably take a rainbow up to as many as 13 colors if you wanted to in this 10 millimeter size. So so lots of colors to choose from, easy enough to do. But again, when you're working with 6, 7, 8, 9 colors, then the size is going to matter a whole lot as you start working with this. Okay, so my colors here are, this is color A is red, color B is turquoise, color C is green, and color D is going to be yellow. Okay, so I've laid these out for myself in order. And actually, we're going to not go in the order that you think to start this. And this first step is really important, that you load everything onto your jump ring in the correct order, just so it all lays out nicely. And once it's on there, once this jump ring is closed, you're all set to go. So we're going to go C, B, and A. Okay, so these are going to be the ones that swing up to our right side, and then I'm going to go A, B, C. Okay, so it gets easier after the first three. Then I'm going to close that jump ring. Get a nice closure on that. Okay, and then we're going to spread these all out. And you can see my green is laying on top, and the red looks like it's on the bottom. And this is going to get pushed out like this. Okay, so it goes this way. And the next step, what you want to do, I'm going to show you a faster way to do this, but I like to show you this way just so you fully understand the mechanics of what's happening here. Okay, so I'm going to take my jump ring, I'm going to go down through 2 rings. So I'm going through the C and the B. Now I'm going to come over to the left-hand side, and I'm going to come up through B and C. Okay, so I'm passing through 2 on the right, I'm going down through those and coming up through 2 on the left. Now if you're left-handed and you opened your jump rings in the opposite way, so this prong would have been forward and this prong would have been backwards, I would go down into the left-hand side through 2 and come back up out the right-hand side. Okay, so it's as simple as that. Switching from right to left in this one is easy as pie. Okay, now I'm going to pick up my 4th color, my D color. In this case, it's yellow. Or buttercup is what we call this yellow. Okay, and you can see I have my first 4 colors, but I only have 2 rows of jump rings. So what that tells me right off the bat is when I get to the end, it's going to take 2 extra jump rings to finish it, where I'm not adding any O-rings, I'm just adding jump rings. Okay, so now we're going to start repeating our colors. So we're going to go red, and then blue, and then green and yellow again. Okay, so all the colors are just going to repeat in this, or if you're doing one color, just don't even worry about it. What I want to show you next is a speed method of doing this. Okay, so now that you understand, you're going down into 2, so I'll be going into the yellow and the green, and I'm going to stay underneath the jump ring that's here, okay, when I do this, and then I'm coming back up out of the green and then the yellow. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my red O-rings first, okay, and then I'm going to go down into it. So down into the yellow, green, and back up out of the green and yellow. Okay, and you may not want to do this method at first. It's a little tougher to get your jump ring in. If you're just learning, you might want to do the original way that I showed you. And then I'm going to close my jump ring. Okay, and then I'm just going to pull one of these over to the left-hand side. Or if you're doing it left-handed, you'd be pulling it over the right-hand side. Okay, so simple as that. I'll just show you another row or 2 here. Down through the 2 on the right, up through 2 on the left. Pick up our rubber O-rings. Want 1 on each prong, or like the speed method I just showed you, you could have picked them up in the first place. We'll come in. We're going to close our jump ring. Okay, and we're ready for the next row. So this is pretty easy. As you move along, I'll show you another one with the speed method. Go down through 2, up out of 2. I feed this in a little bit more. When you see me feed it in a little bit more, make sure with this, we're using 16 gauge jump rings, which I don't do a whole lot. And they're a little bit harder on your hands. You need a little bit stronger hands. So you notice when I pull the ring up, it's so that I can grab it at like 9 o'clock or below. So if your jump ring is a clock and you're looking at midnight, midnight, 3, 6, 9, and 12, you almost always want to be grabbing your jump ring on the left side at 9 o'clock or even maybe a little below that, and it's going to help you get a better grip on the jump ring. So if you need to, as you're doing this, and this is going to be the last one I show you. Okay, I went down through 2, up out of 2, put these on. Okay, and you see I'm grabbing it over here about 3 o'clock. See how I'm actually going inside? Make sure you're not grabbing any O-rings because you could tear them, but I'm actually sticking my pliers right inside there. And the same thing over here. That's why it's nice to have some bent nose pliers that I can grab it at like 9 o'clock or even below it, and that gives you really good grip and torque for getting this jump ring closed. Okay, and you saw I had to actually pull it out of the O-rings when I finished it. Okay, so we're going to continue to do this. You're going to continue to do this until you get to your desired length. And I'll just point out here that you do want to end on that final color. We're not going to need any more O-rings. As I said, when you get to the end, we're going to actually be using 2 jump rings to finish this weave off and make it continuous all the way around. So, so you can go ahead and end on the D O-ring or the final color that you're using in your pattern, and you will be all set to go for connecting this up back to the beginning. Okay, so as I said before, we want to make this to our desired length. You can see I'm there. And I am going to work from the end. So if you remembered, I said the yellow was the last color in my color series that I was working with. And to start working with these final 2 jump rings, with the first jump ring, we're basically doing the same thing we've always been doing. Okay, we're going down through 2. So I'm going through the D and the C, and then up through the C and the D colors. Okay, and now what I want to do is I want to bring this around. So I mentioned something in the tutorial. I say to flatten these rings out, and what I mean by that, in this size it stays pretty stiff, and this has stayed in line, but these can droop down. These last 2 colors can definitely droop down and cause you a little disturbance if they are not flat. So this is what I mean by flattening them out, so that you can see the pattern, that they're going along in the pattern like they should. And then basically what we want to do is we want to take these color A-rings and just lay them on top of the prongs of the jump ring that we added to the end. Okay, so instead of adding new jump rings, we're just using this very first row of A colored O-rings that we had, and putting one over one prong and one over the other, and that keeps our pattern in place and gets us where we need to go. Okay, so close that. Okay, so that part's easy. Now comes the hard part. And this is absolutely the hardest part of doing a European 6-in-1. Okay, so I want you to look at this really carefully. Here, I'll hold it this way. And you can see these little swoops of our jump ring coming up over. So we know that ultimately we're going to be closing this jump ring where it swoops over top of these 2 turquoise rubber O-rings. Okay, and this would have been our color B. Okay, so in other words, we would be going down through the color A, the color D, and then back up out of the color D and the color A, and then out of this turquoise one here, which is a B. Okay, so that's where we need to be. Now, how do we get there? Okay, this is a challenge. So what I like to do is I like to flip it around to the opposite side. Okay, now because I'm right-handed, and of course think of this in the opposite way if you were a lefty, because I'm right-handed, this prong is back towards me. This is going to give me the most hassle. Getting this left side prong up through everything, no problem. But getting this right side through is always a little bit of an issue. So I'm gonna feed through the red and the yellow first. So this is my A and my D. Okay, just to get myself started. Okay. And then I'm gonna try, and over on this left side, I'm gonna try and get it up through the yellow and the red. Now this is just how I do this, so if you find a better way, you go for it. I'm going to just kind of work this in, okay? And then you see my jump ring is completely in the wrong place. It's on the back side. It's not sitting in front. It needs to sit in front of this jump ring that we're seeing down here underneath it. So that's where this prong on the right side that's sticking back is going to give me the biggest headache. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the left side of this. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna grab the right side of this and see if I can get that left side. See how the left side just went underneath this jump ring? And now that that's there, I'm gonna try and pull this jump ring out from around it so that now this one is sticking out in front, okay? And then it actually just so happened that my left side poke through the turquoise, which is where I want it to be. You'll see that when I flip this back around, you'll see that. But now that I have these first two, the red and the yellow, okay, I have it in the right location on the back. So you can see my jump ring passing through the yellow and red here. And then I know it needs to come back out the turquoise. So now that I've flipped it back around, I can see my little prongs kind of poking out. So I'm gonna grab the right side and I'm gonna try and feed this left side up. This gets a little tight, and sometimes what I need to do is actually hold on to this left side and actually, I'll show you me doing that, actually kind of take this and pull it around this prong, okay, so that it goes around it. But now you see that this is gonna loop up over top of the turquoise blue, which is what we needed. That was the one that was empty. And now I'm going to go ahead and close this, okay? So this is absolutely the toughest part of doing a 6-in-1 is finishing it. That last ring can really be a bear, okay? But we've done it and it looks great. And then there's one more thing I'm gonna do. Now I've been working along all the same side the whole time I was going. I'm gonna actually just flip the bracelet inside out. That way all my seams are now on the inside. I don't see them. I made sure to close my jump rings as perfectly as I possibly could, as well as I could possibly see. And now you can see we have that color going all the way around. You can't tell where this started or ended, okay? So that's all there is to this. If you want to hang tight, I'm gonna just show you a little bit of working with some of the smaller sizes as we go forward. But if you have this 10mm O-ring kit, go ahead and go for it, because you are all set to go, and give it a try. So I'll be right back in just a minute and show you some smaller sizes that I like to work with. Okay, so the next size down that I want to show you is our 6.5mm O-rings. This is a brand new size to us this year, so we don't have tons and tons of colors, but there are quite a few for you to play with, and I'll just show you the difference in size here. Okay, so this is, I'm guessing, but this is probably about 12 or 13mm wide. And of course, this one's more like 20mm wide, of course. So a little bit smaller if you prefer a little bit smaller piece of jewelry. And I just want to show you, this one is actually probably even easier than the one I just taught you. So when you're considering what sizes of chainmail you want to work with, something important to keep in mind is if you have arthritis or problems with hand strength, things like that, sometimes this larger size, this used a 16 gauge jump ring, which means that this is about 1.6mm thick. These are a little hard on your hands to work with. So if you need to, you can come down in size and work with these 6.5s. Now, if I wanted this to be thicker, because I like a little bit thicker set of jewelry, I can always, you know, make this into a double or triple row. So that's not a problem as far as, you know, the width that I like to wear. But I'll just show you the big difference. These are 20 gauge 3/16 jump rings, okay? And these are the largest size in the 20 gauge that I carry. And they're very skinny, so they're very easy to open and close. Now, being that it's kind of big around, the problem working with these is when you go to close it, it's very hard to get these matched up and get a nice clean closure, okay? You can do it, but I spend a little bit more time with something like a 3/16 just because it's so big around in comparison to its thickness that it takes a little bit more effort to get it closed cleanly, you know, just as far as making sure everything matches up. Okay, so that's the start of it. And then of course this is just like before. Just because we're using one color doesn't mean anything. Going down through 2, I'm coming back up out of 2 more, and I'll put an O-ring on each prong of the jump ring, or you can use your speed method that I showed you, okay, and close the jump ring. Okay, that one closed really nicely, actually, that time, but it doesn't always. So, like I said, much easier on your hands if you just don't have the hand strength. This is a nice medium size to work with. Should be no problem for you, and should be quite an enjoyable project. Okay, so there is that. Now, let me clear the decks, and let's talk about the micro size. I love this. Okay, so this micro size, these are 4mm O-rings. You can see them, they're really tiny. This is also a brand new size to us this year. I used to carry them a long time ago, and I just brought them back. We have quite a few colors, but we don't have, you know, the amount of colors that we have in 10mm or 7.25mm O-rings that we've been carrying for years and years now. But these are a neat size to start working with, and you can see how dense this is in a 6-in-1. And the nice part about using a tiny little O-ring in a 6-in-1 is that you're passing through 6 rings. So that's going to give it a sturdiness to it that you don't have just based on the thickness of the O-ring. So of course, the skinnier the O-rings are, the more likely they are to tear. And you know, you want to be careful with that. But because this is such a dense weave, this really lends itself to a micro-sized weave. So I'm going to show you this. Now, once you start getting into these sizes, you want to be very good at doing the 6-in-1. So I would not start here. However, you know, once you've done a couple in a little bit larger sizes, if you've got the eyesight to do this, then go for it. So this is a 20 gauge 1/8 inch jump rings, and I'm using that with 4mm O-rings. Okay, so there's our start. And this is part of why I wanted to do this little section at the end, just so you could see how tiny this is and what this looks like when you're doing it. Okay, but it's the same thing. So we're going down through 2 on the right and up through 2 on the left. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to pick up a ring on the right, ring on the left. You can probably barely see this in the video, they're so tiny. But these are really fun to work with, and I love the density of this weave. It's just absolutely stunning. Feels great to wear. Okay, and then again, this becomes an eyesight issue, being able to really see these tiny little jump rings. Make sure you get nice closures. Okay, and okay, so that's 1 row added. I'll just do 1 more so you can see it. I'd like you to see this too, just so you know it's possible, and you see me do it, because this is very tiny, and you know, sometimes things seem like they're a little too tight or a little too, but this really worked out perfect, and I love the way this looks. There's not too much rubber left on the outside, and honestly, once this all comes together, if you didn't know what it was made of, it just kind of looks like you just see the sparkle of the jump rings coming out of it. Has a wonderful texture to it and a wonderful density. Okay, so there's one more row. So just so you can see. So had we done a 4-in-1, this would be pretty spaced out, and you're grabbing 4 rings, and that's great. I mean, that adds a little bit to the thickness of the rubber O-rings, but passing through 6 O-rings at the same time really makes this quite a sturdy piece, despite the smallness of the O-rings, and it just really, it feels really nice, gives it a little bit more weight, and still has a nice stretch, but it's not overly stretchy. And this is fabulous. I absolutely love this, and when you feel it, just feels amazing. It's really neat. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of give you a glimpse of it all, so you can see these different sizes and see your different options in the European 6-in-1 world. Okay, and make any that you would like to. Make multicolor or make it just one color. It still looks beautiful. Just showing you this one so you can see how those, you can't get a real sparkle on a video, but you can kind of see those jump rings sticking out. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this project. We have lots of other projects at Bead Me A Story that where you buy the tutorial and you get the video when you do so. But I like to, for the basic chainmail we use, just give those out for free and let everybody see how we teach and what our projects are like. There are kits for these if you prefer to just buy all the supplies and the written tutorial all at one time and together. So there are kits for these, but you can also just buy the supplies for these as well if you want to do your own creations. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Be sure to like and follow us on YouTube. And of course, all these projects are from beadmeastory.com. Thanks so much.